Hello, everyone. We are back with part 2 of Q&A number 2, which is what is your favorite tabletop game? And last time we talked about Star Wars X-Wing. We are back now to talk about Pizza and Angry Pizza. Or
Star Wars Armada.
Yes, Star Wars Armada. Okay, so this is another Jacob game. And so first thing I have to ask, how is Star Wars Armada different from Star Wars X-Wing?
Okay, so X-Wing deals with the different fighters and bombers, and so it's a kind of more intimate combat scale. Mm-hmm. Whereas Armada deals with the capital ships.
Okay.
So one of the things that is really cool about this particular gaming system is the command dials.
Okay, yeah, because these look different from the dials.
They are different.
How do they function differently?
All right, so you have commands.
What's the top of them? This is the top.
No, this is the top.
This is what it looks like. It's kind of like a sad candy.
Turn it around.
Sad candy.
So you see 4 different symbols there, and those are different orders that you can issue to the ships.
Okay.
So one of the things that really appeals to me about this game is the amount of planning ahead that you have to do. So
that has the opposite effect on me. That makes me want to play this game less. So you can't play it by the seat of your pants.
No,
it's a planning game.
This is a planning game. You are thinking multiple moves ahead, and actually it depends what type of ships you're using. Mm-hmm. So, for example, a small ship like a Corellian Corvette. Mm-hmm. Would have a single dial, and so
the bigger the ship, the more dials it has.
Correct.
All right.
So, like the different Star Destroyers, they'll typically have 3, and so you at the beginning of the game you issue your orders, and then you pull from the top, and then you make a new order and you put at the bottom, and you pull from the top. So you issue an order, and 3 turns later, it comes into effect.
I see.
Whereas
you really do have to think ahead.
Whereas with the Corvette, you're issuing an order, and immediately the next turn, it's having an effect. So that's one of the things that I really like about it, is that kind of, okay, if I get this right, I can really use the ships to my advantage, to a great effect. Whereas if I don't predict correctly what the battlefield is going to look like, I can end up wasting commands for one of the most powerful ships in the game.
Right. And in a game where thinking ahead is necessary, not just a fun thing to do, that can easily mess you up. I can see that. Yeah. Okay, here's another question. Okay, so the guide for this game looks a lot different than it does compared to the one from X-Wing. Mm-hmm. What?
Okay, so the capital ships, they don't react very quickly.
Okay.
So you have to issue them orders to just change speed. So each of them has, remember how with X-Wing I said, with very subtle changes to certain mechanics, they can create products that have very distinct feels. And one of the ways they distinguish the ships is with their navigation chart. Mm-hmm. And that determines not only how fast a craft can go, but how maneuverable those ships are at various different speeds. So the Victory class Star Destroyer here is...
What class is the big pizza?
That is Imperial.
Okay, so we have Imperial, Victory. Are there any other Star Destroyers?
There are.
Okay. That's a lot of Star Destroyers.
For example, the Super Star Destroyer was just recently announced.
Okay.
Yeah, I already have my pre-order.
I really just pictured a Star Destroyer like going all glowy and growing Super Saiyan hair, and it was pretty incredible in my mind.
That's not the Super Star.
That's disappointing.
So not only do you have how fast the ship can go, but you have how fast they can turn at various different segments and different segments of a given speed and at different speeds. So a ship might be more maneuverable at slower speeds, but have like a really high speed ceiling, for example. So You have more questions?
Am I to assume that your favorite pieces in this game are the destroyers?
Yes.
Why?
Well, first of all, they're really cool.
Well, yeah. That goes
But
without saying.
from a gameplay mechanic, my favorite is the Victory class Star Destroyer.
Why so?
So, first of all, it's very, very durable for its point cost. The basic model is only 73 points, and it has 8 hull, it has a lot of shields, it has a really good defensive suite, and it hits hard.
Cool.
It also turns. It turns like a pig. It's just like, okay, I might be able to turn around once per game, maybe. But it can take its hits. It can keep dishing it out, and it also acts as a very effective carrier. So one of the things that the capital ships do is that one of the orders you can give them is a squadron command, and those and any like TIE fighter squadrons, bomber squadrons that they activate perform better when they're activated from a ship rather than when their natural turn arrives. They get to act sooner, and they normally they either get to move or attack. But if they're issued a command from a capital ship, they get to move and attack. So that's nice.
All right. So I'm looking at the stat cards here, and here's what the stat cards look like. Can you see them? I don't know why I'm asking the internet if they can see anything. There they are. All right. So they look different than the ones in X-Wing. How are the stats different? Like,
they're hugely different. So, like, for example, a TIE fighter is only shooting forward, and there's only like one type of die that's used for attack. There's another type of die that's used for defense, and so it's kind of randomized. But you have, a TIE fighter is more maneuverable, so it gets more defensive dice, whereas an X-Wing has more firepower, so it gets more attack dice, and you have different situations like that. With the capital ships, they have 4 firing arcs, and they have different dice for each of the firing arcs. So some of them really hit hard from the front. Some of them are more about firing broadsides at the enemy. You have different shield values on different positions. And also on the cards themselves, the shape of the different facings are also changed from craft to craft. So some of them might have a very narrow front, whereas the Victory has a very wide front. So not only can it fire from a wide arc, its front arc can actually be shot at from a wide set of positions from the enemy. So if they wanted to focus down your shields on the front, they can kind of keep pounding the front even if they've moved outside of your front arc.
Neat.
Which is where you want the enemy to be with these guys, because they tend to be focused on destroying the enemy, point them at the enemy and just let her rip. You also have different colored dice that not only do they indicate different ranges of attack, but each of the colored dice actually have different sets of symbols. So the probabilities are different for each of the dice.
That sounds fun. I like that.
Yes, it is fun.
Right. Final question before we move on to our next game. If you had to choose between X-Wing and Armada, which one do you like more and why? I know it's like asking you to choose between your favorite children.
No, that's what asking me about the books is like.
Oh, that's true. This is like asking you about your favorite cats. I don't know. Something.
It's Armada.
Okay.
And that's primarily because of the command dial, a mechanic that's in the game, and the kind of thinking ahead. And it's just an aspect of the game that I really enjoy.
All right, so we're going to go outside the game for a second. And, well, I guess technically it could be inside either of these games, but what's your favorite ship from the Star Wars lore overall?
Capital ship, you mean?
Huh?
Capital ship, right?
Yeah, capital ship. Or you could do both. I don't care.
Well, I've already done the both with the assault gunboat. So the assault gunboat.
Okay.
The assault gunboat is like,
that's true.
Right.
So,
but in terms of capital ships,
yes,
that would be the Imperial class Star Destroyer.
Why?
Well, first of all, it is a fantastically designed in terms of
it's
in
such
terms
an
of
iconic design.
right in terms of its visual aesthetic. Now, in terms of an actual, spacecraft in space, it doesn't really make sense. The bridge section doesn't make sense. But from a presence in a movie or in a tabletop, it just has this kind of just imposing presence. And actually, one of the things that I think is really cool about the original design, and I'm just gonna.
Yeah, I haven't. Let me do it. I'm sort of developing it. What part of the design am I showing?
Well, it's really hard to see. It's really hard to see, but the top superstructure is actually level with the top slant of the ship.
Oh,
so if you're looking at it from what it's on its like that,
like this?
the front is actually kind of leaned forward a little bit.
I do see it.
And I think that does kind of subliminally add to its imposing feel. That it's tall and it's kind of leaning forward, and it's just a really cool ship design. You can say something.
I don't have a favorite ship. I just like things that go pew pew.
Okay.
Well, that ends the Star Wars section of our gaming nerddom. Next video, we are going to move on to one of several Arkhams. So, see you next time. Bye. I'm going to start for real now.
Okay. Hey, it's on you to start. I'm just hanging out.
Okay, I'm kind of just hanging out too. I think I just spat my lipstick off. Can you do that with lipstick?
I
don't know how
am not
lipstick
the
works.
right person to ask what you can and cannot do with lipstick.
Look at the camera. Hello everyone, we are back with part 2 of Q&A number 2, which was, I forgot what the question was. I've got a lot of questions over here. Okay, we're starting over again. We're gonna do Arkham Horror next. No, that's a lame outro. Okay. Well, that is it for the Star Wars side of this nerddom. Next time, we move on into something else. I'm gonna retake that.
Something else.
Oh, there she is. Hey, Nova. I'm just gonna leave it running because she might be really cute.